Before moving on to our first special interest, I would like to welcome to the chamber this morning the guests of the Honourable Member for Nelson, the Taroona Scout Group, and that consists of Janet Stevens, the Taroona Group Leader, Kath Story, the Assistant Scout Leader, Robin Thompson, who's an adult helper and Scout Leader, Mike Green, who's the Group Chairman, and 10 Scouts and Adventurers. So they're joining us to witness the Parliament and be part of the special interest this morning. And I'm sure members here will join me in making you very welcome to the Legislative Council this morning. I would also like to welcome our first speaker is the Honourable Member for Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have great pleasure today to rise to speak about the 70th year of Scouting in Taroona celebrations, which were held on the 14th of September at the Taroona Scout Hall. And I also welcome the guests here today with us in the chamber about whom I'm going to be speaking. Mr. President, this celebration was an afternoon full of a schedule of activities, of displays of photos, of memorabilia, a great deal of reminiscing in the room, and some scouting food specials, which I must make particular mention of the delicious bush donuts, my first experience of such. And Mr. President, it's lucky that the Scouts love a challenge and are used to being out in the elements, because it was a very rainy day that day. But it didn't stop the group from having a blast and still getting busy with outdoor activities such as building shelters, which I found incredibly impressive. And Mr. President, it's no small thing to have a Scout group entirely reliant on volunteers, operating continuously for 70 years and still thriving and growing. The Taroona Scout Group currently has, I believe, around 80 youth members across Joey Scouts, Cub Scouts, Scouts and Venturers. They're supported by a team of 14 section leaders, along with parent helpers and a small management committee. And here I would particularly like to acknowledge Mike Green, the chairman of the Taroona Scout Group, who's been involved with Scouts, Mr. President, wait for it, since 1960. Wow. So that's a very extended period of involvement and service that he continues today. Mike's quiet and calm leadership looks to me like a linchpin of the group, but he tells me that the key to the continued success of the Taroona Scout Group is its dedicated youth section leaders, who are highly qualified and deliver a great scouting experience to all the kids involved. And it's their dedication too that is recognised when it extends beyond the group to also volunteering at the Tasmanian state branch levels as branch commissioners. Mr. President, one of the loveliest things that I noted in talking to people at the 70th anniversary celebrations was the families with multiple generations who participate in this group. And of course, wonderful people are the heart of the scouting movement. However, I do think that a secret strength behind the success of the Taroona Scouts must be the fantastic Scout Hall they have at Apex Park on land provided by the Kingborough Council. The hall is large and has all kinds of extra sheds and storage spaces and covered areas which house extensive equipment, camping gear and boats used by the Scouts. I was especially impressed by the special room out the back for the Venturers. On the day of the 70th celebrations, the Venturers group had only just completed a beautiful new mural on an inside wall of their room. It's possible the paint may still have actually been wet, Mr. President. And I thought that was a beautiful depiction of all sorts of activities that they undertake with the group. And speaking of Venturers, Mr. President, I especially appreciated meeting and talking with some of the Taroona Venturers, who were incredible examples of where scouting can take you and the growth and development that participating in Scouts can bring. For example, I met Adelaide Simpkins, who is here in the chamber today as one of our guests, who recently participated in Nov2024 in Victoria and has travelled as far as Fiji to the Explorer expedition. And Mr. President, Adelaide strikes me as a person who will always go far in life, both literally and figuratively, and I have no doubt that her time in the Taroona Scout Group, from Joey's to Venturers, has played a strong part in that. I also met venturer Liam Ludlow, who has recently been awarded the King Scout Badge, previously known as the Queen Scout Badge, which is regarded by many as scouting's highest achievement. Liam joins an elite band of people from all over the world who have attained this award. And from this elite group, many of the world's great achievers are drawn. It's such an impressive array of young Tasmanians when you visit a Scout group, Mr. President. The history and heritage of the Taroona Scout Group is clearly cherished, and it was amazing to pore over the dozens of photo books, posters, old uniforms and equipment that were on display during the celebration day. And Mr. President, I'm sure you would be familiar with a Scout uniform and remember one of the most distinctive items is the leather woggle that secures the scarf centrally at the front. A quirky fact that I learnt on the day was that the very first Scout woggle was invented right here in Tasmania. And not only that, it is still here, displayed at the Scout Archives Museum in the Lee. A proud heritage indeed. But Mr. President, the main source of pride are the impressive young people who are drawn to Scouting and commit themselves to the challenges, opportunities to learn and the enjoyable experiences that it offers. These young people are provided with opportunities to develop their community mindedness and their leadership skills. And perhaps uniquely in this modern world, Mr. President, Scouting offers our children and young people a beautifully well-rounded, inclusive, healthy and purposeful way to spend time, to build relationships and to contribute to their community. I was so pleased to have the opportunity to attend and share in the wonderful celebration of such a significant milestone for the Taroona Scout Group, their 70th anniversary year. I acknowledge that colleagues from the other place, Minister Ogilvie and Vicar Bailey MP, also attended the celebrations, and we were all honoured to receive one of the very special badges made to commemorate the 70th anniversary, a beautiful design with pictures on it from some of the children and young people in the group. Mr. President, I was privileged to get to know the Taroona Scout Group a little better that day, and I pay tribute to them and the Scouting movement for its ongoing success and much valued place in our community.